Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here and welcome to my video going over the new trust system being added to Final Fantasy XIV and the next expansion, Shadowbringers. This info and footage is coming to you from the North America media tour that I recently attended. As such, things are subject to change, and I think they very much will when it comes to trusts. Whether it be behaviors or their stats, I actually think the trust menu itself and certain other things are probably going to see updates. So we'll put a disclaimer at the bottom that it's currently still in development, and let's get started. The trust system will allow players to run Shadowbringers main scenario dungeons with a group of NPCs. To access your trust, you must go to the duty option and select trust to bring up the menu, or keybind it to something in the options. In this menu, your current job is listed at the top left, and the list of trusts filling out that party below. By clicking on their portraits on the right hand side, you can add or remove the trusts from their assigned roles. Thancred was the only tank of the five, Alice was a red mage, Minfilia was a rogue, Alphino was a scholar, and Urianger was an astro. Now in previews of the trust system, we have also seen that Y'shtola is supposed to be one of them, who it is safe to assume probably fills that 6th portrait slot and will likely be a black mage. It also has been stated we may get more trust options in the future, which is why I think this menu is probably going to change somewhere down the line. On top of that, this menu didn't have the ability to change the dungeon we wanted to access, and while that's likely because the build was only built with this singular dungeon in mind, I'd assume that the top right of this menu is going to look a bit different when we actually see it on launch. Another thing this menu lists is the level of the trust. Now there's no indication anywhere that they need to be leveled, so I'd assume it's just a visual aid to let you know what level they are capped at so you know what skills they have available. I mean, maybe you need to level them, but I don't think so. It's probably just a visual aid. Once you have selected your party, press register for duty and you're off. Remember that the only duties that have been confirmed so far for this feature are Shadowbringers main scenario dungeons. I wouldn't be surprised to see it extended to other dungeons or instances eventually, but that's all I can say with certainty. Once in the dungeon, the trusts act completely autonomously of your influence. You won't need to micromanage them like you do squadrons, and their decision making is actually a nice step up from the squadron system as well. The tank trust will engage enemies once you are close enough or when you attack them. Probably best to just let them go in first. He even automatically attempted to face them away after a few GCDs and was dodging AoEs. The healer trusts alternate between their offensive and defensive skills decently enough, with Urianger especially throwing out Astro cards all the time. I would not advise doing a wall-to-wall pull though. They aren't that good. The DPS trusts take care of the basics, though the overall DPS of trust is certainly lower than that of other players. It's not like they're trying to hit a skill every GCD, they just kind of hit them occasionally. They also appear to take a bit less damage from enemies as well. At least, Minfilia also lands Trick Attack. Overall, I was pretty happy with the trust performance in the dungeon. They dodge AoEs, do mechanics properly, and they even have a bit of idle chit-chat with you and each other. There's also some interesting interactions with the encounters. The final encounter of this dungeon I tested them in, Dawn Meg, had some pretty funny ones, especially towards the end. Now the trusts aren't perfect though, but that's probably by design. Thancred often took a few GCDs to do any AoE abilities, so a lot of the times mobs got loose. He also was seemingly inefficient at properly interrupting abilities. There's only a few, but I don't think he interrupted any of them. Trusts also tend to stop attacking when performing certain mechanics or when they are role-playing out certain portions of the fight. It's entertaining, but it's certainly less efficient. I actually quite liked the final execution of it by the time I was done with the dungeon though, as it clearly shows why these things would be faster with other players while offering an immersive alternative with these characters on its own. For anyone who has any sort of social anxiety or just doesn't have a lot of time and may not want to wait for a queue, or even someone looking to learn the dungeon from the movements that the trusts actually use, it's good for all those things, and I never felt like I was at danger of losing because of the trust performance outside of pulling wall to wall. It was really just the boss fights. They relied on me to do my part correctly, and by watching them, I could easily discern that. Another little thing I noticed is that Minfilia would never use the limit break, but Alice would swoop right in on the final boss and use it right away. I'm not sure if this is random or just based on these characters' general behaviors. Definitely sounds like an Alice thing. Either way, the system was fun to use, but hopefully it doesn't lead to a ton of people trying to create solo instances day one and give us our good old Raubon ultimate. Please. But that's going to be a wrap for my thoughts on the trust system. If you have any questions, be sure to throw them in the comment section. I don't think there's anything I forgot to mention, but you may disagree. So just go ask me there and I'll do my best to get back to you. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and check out all the other videos from the media tour that I have posted today. I'll see you all next time, and until then, take care.